Hey there, today it's Brisket 101. I went back and looked at all my videos, and even though I cook brisket more than I cook any other meats, I think I only have 2 smoked brisket videos on my channel. So I thought it was time to go back and review the brisket. It's getting to be summertime, so today it's barbecue brisket. We're cooking up the beef, and we're going to show you the rubs we use, how we set our pit up, what kind of charcoal we're using. We're going to give you all the in and out so you can cook a fantastic smoked brisket at your own house. So stick around and see how we get this brisket smoked up. Thanks for sticking with me. I am Chef Johnny, and this is Texas style barbecue and cuisine. And you know us Texans love our beef. So I've got a beautiful brisket, about 16.5 pounds. Folks, this is not a prime. It's not even a choice. This is just a standard Packer brisket that you can run down to your local Walmart, local HEB, wherever you shop, and pick these up. I think this one actually came from Walmart. My wife picked it up just a couple of days ago for us. So I'm going to show you how we do this. And so come in here close. Let me show you the trimming of this brisket, the seasoning of it, and then we're going to get our pit set up and get it on there. If you look at this brisket, I like this one pretty good. It is a select, came from Walmart. My wife picked it up. But before I pull it out of the package, I'm going to show you just a little bit of the anatomy. You have a point and you have a flat, and both the muscles are running 2 different directions. All right? So your point's the thick end, your flat's the thin end. But what happens is your flat runs up over your point. And that helps, the point helps protect the fat because the fat's your lean end. There's not a lot of marbling in it. This big end is where we're going to find our fat. That's where your burn ends come from. But this is a very good looking brisket. One thing I look for, and we try to get is down here on the flat, get it as thick as you can. This one's not tremendously thick. I wouldn't call it a great one, but it's not bad. And considering we're locked down in COVID right now with our coronavirus, this is still a very good brisket to use. And it's not too thin because you're going to lose that. Comp brisket guys would just cut that off and not even cook it. But here at the house, we always do. So I'm going to get this out of its cryovac package. You know, some people say check the bend test. Will they bend? Well, you know what? If you have one that's real tight in cryovac, it's not going to bend because the cryovac prevents it from bending. So that's not always a good test. Sometimes people would tell you to get a left-handed or a right-handed brisket. I've never really seen a difference in any of them, and I cook a ton of briskets. I'm going to tell you that right now. I cook way more than the average person. We'll cook 6 to 10 every weekend. Some weekends we've cooked 20 and 30 briskets. So we know how to put these things together. We do a lot of brisket. Let's get it out of the package and let y'all see it up a little bit closer and see how I'm going to trim it. Always have a good sharp knife. This is just a utility knife, and I have got just a boning knife. They're both nice and sharp. I got my honing steel here in case I got to sharpen them up some more. So here we go right here. What I'm going to do is, always the first fat I take off is this right here. Now, this one, you got to come in, and it's kind of I cut it like a triangle out of there. Just like that. All right, so y'all can see that's off. I'm going to get a little more in there and get a little more of that off. Then we're going to come back up here on top and kind of start cleaning up some of this. This piece right here, I'm going to tell you, this is going to burn. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off. But now we want to clean up some of this loose fat that's laying across the top of our flat. Hey, let's take a quick time out here. Just want to remind y'all, like, subscribe, and share. Y'all my watchers, y'all are the one that help me grow this more than I ever can. It's y'all. So please remember to share this around. Tell your friends and family about me. Let them know what's happening here on Texas Style Barbecue and Cuisine. And let's grow this community really big. I really appreciate that. But we're going to break away, and I'm going to do a separate video on the rest of this trim. So down below, you're going to see a link. You're going to be able to click on that link and watch the whole trimming if you want to see that. If not, we're fixing to pick up on this video right back where I start seasoning it up. So let's get back to the video so that you can see how I season, how I cook it, and how this turns out. And also, quickly, check out my wild game playlist. I have a lot of deer, wild hog, javelina, axis deer videos on how to cook your wild game. So please share those around, and y'all check those out. There's some great videos. So let's get back and see how this brisket turns out. What's going on now is our seasoning. I'm going to use some Suckle Busters 1836. I've heard rave reviews about this. I haven't tried it on brisket yet. I've had it on some steaks. It was wonderful. So we're going to cover this brisket with some 1836 from Suckle Buster. I'm going to cover this. It's got a nice cracked pepper in it, seasoning, salt. There's a lot of different things that go into this and make it real flavorful. But you're going to get that kind of what y'all see Texas flair with plenty of pepper. And this has got a nice cracked pepper in it. And of course, I always get the question of how much seasoning do you put on there? Well, one of the old guys that I used to watch barbecue all the time and I learned a lot from, a guy named Alfred Carroll, he always says, hey, that's a great big piece of meat there. Whenever you think you've got enough on there, or when you think you got too much on there, add just a little bit more. So that was Alfred's philosophy. And he cooked a very, very good brisket. Let's flip this end for end where y'all can see where I'm seasoning over here. But I'm going to come back in here, coat it good. I'm not really going to smear it in. I'm going to pat it in is what I'm going to do. Let's get this point real well. That side looks good. Let's turn it over. And guys, this is a great big piece of meat. It's going to be very, very hard to over season it because it's just so thick. But I just hold my hand down here so I can kind of catch it and make sure it gets on the side. Might have left a little bit too much fat right there. Could have trimmed a little bit off, but again, it's not a competition trim. It is a friends and family trim. And again, backside of this point, you can just come in here and kind of pat it. It's going to start rendering out some juices. And whenever it renders out its juices, it's going to help that rub stick a little better anyway. So there is our 1836 from Suckle Busters, and thank them for sending this to me. Appreciate that. But that's good there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it in a disposable tray. And I'm going to lay over the top of this so we don't have to worry about any flies getting to it. And I'm going to show you how we set up our fire. Now, you can see we're going to use some hard lump charcoal. This is from Fogo. They sent me some out the other day to give a try. I've cooked some steaks and some pork chops with it. Liked it really good so far. But this is going to be my first cooking a UDS with it. And it does have some nice large pieces of hardwoods. All right, let's get that Fogo charcoal down in here. Charcoal's lit. Come in here and drop it right there. That's good. Start with our heat deflector. It goes in first. Heat deflector's in. Get in my grate. My lid's on. The intakes are in front, exhaust is in back. Lock it down, exhaust is all the way open. I'm going to start off with both intakes all the way open. Once it gets up, I want to cook at 275. So when it hits getting close to 270, I'm going to start closing these off a little bit and slow down how fast it's growing so it'll zero in right at 275 degrees. I figure 16-pound brisket should take us about 12 hours if I wrap it, 10. We are going to wrap it, so I figure about a 10-hour cook on here, right at 275. Pop my lid off. Come in here, put it in. I'm going to squish it together. Okay, like I'm always compact, best we can. Lid goes back on. I'm thinking this is going to be around a 10-hour cook with the wrap. So we're going to look at this in about 6 hours, maybe spritz it, take a look, see how it's doing, check for color. And folks, I'm going to tell you, I normally wrap to color. I don't look for an exact temperature. I look when it looks like I want it. That's a pretty color. I wrap it. I don't want it to get too dark if I'm trying to maintain the nice color of it. So we're going to look and see how it turns out, but I'll see y'all back here in probably about 6 hours. We're about 5 hours into this. I'm going to spritz. Been spritzing, haven't showed y'all that every time, but this is just a water spritz. You can spritz with apple juice, apple cider vinegar, a lot of different things people use to spritz with, and you can buy spritzes. So a lot of things out there to do it with. I don't like to put I don't like a lot of sweet on my brisket. So normally it'll be apple cider vinegar, water. I have done apple cider vinegar, water, and a little bit of cooking oil, and that helps keep that bark nice and moist. But we're gonna go on just with some plain water. So pop the lid here. Let y'all see what this brisket looks like. And I'm just gonna come in here and spritz the top of it real good. Let's get some nice color on it. Kind of a mahogany. Does not have the bark formation, but I think part of that is this is such a clean burning charcoal. You're not gonna get a lot of smoke, and I think that gives us a little bit smaller bark formation on there. But we're gonna go a little longer with it and see if we can get a little more bark. I'm gonna pull this off. Time to pick up the speed on cooking it. It's got a nice color. Does not have the bark formation I would like. Pull out my iGrill Mini there. But let y'all see this real good. It's looking nice, but like I said, not quite the bark I would want. And I think that's from the fact of just a very clean burning lump charcoal is why. It's got a nice color, but just not a whole lot of bark. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. First thing I'm gonna do is just spritz it down. Again, this is just water. Just wrap it up. You could double wrap if you wanted to. I don't think there's a need to. Got that on there good and tight. Gonna put it back on there. Oh, it's about 170 right now, so I figure a couple hours, we ought to be good. I tell you what, even though that brisket's not real hot, that probe is going in there very easily. It's tender brisket. There we go. Just another waiting game. Let's wait till the temperature gets up around that 205. We'll start probing it. When it feels right, it comes off. You hear that 203 or 205? That's not a magic number, folks. Some briskets are ready then, some are ready before, some are ready after. Every one is different, so it comes to the feel, not the temperature. About 10 and a half hours in, temps reading 205. We're gonna probe it, see how it feels. If it's good, we're gonna get it off there. 11 hours in, and this brisket's off, and it's about ready to slice. So let's open it back up. It's been resting here a little bit. But it turned out really nice. Bark got better than I thought it was going to. We let it go as long as we could. We wrapped it. Then at the end, I opened it back up to set that bark again. And it looks like I have a nice bark on here. Not quite maybe as dark as much as I wanted, but it's still a really nice bark, and this can be a great taste of brisket. So let's see if we can get it out of the foil. This brisket is still pretty hot. It's still, you see that damage right there? Boy, I tell you what, that just hurts your feelings when you open up the brisket and you see that and how it had that slice in it. But the flat's coming up here, the point's down underneath, and I'm usually about 2/3 of the way up. That's about where they divide, where you want to change your slicing directions. But let's slice through this. There. Open that up for y'all. Let y'all see that. That is a pretty brisket. Look at that deep, deep smoke ring we have. That is beautiful. That Fogo lump really did put a smoke ring on here. I tell you, that is nice. And that 1836, I bet you it tastes really good also. So we're gonna see. We'll cut off a few slices here and let y'all see how exactly this brisket came out. Let's go right there and we'll see if we can slice off a couple of slices here. He still is. Been resting a while. Look, it's falling apart. I overcooked this one just a little bit too much. They shouldn't fall apart like that. Of course, if I let it cool a little bit longer, it probably wouldn't fall apart either. But that brisket is pretty. Look at that. Man, folks, that is just a beautiful, beautiful brisket. But like I said, if I let this sit for a little bit longer, it would probably hold together a little more. This one still is pretty hot. I bet you it's still up close to 185, 190 degrees. Normally, I don't like to slice these so they get to be about 160. But I tell you, it's late tonight, and this is off, and I need some rest. But don't forget the suckle busters. I tell you what, it's gonna great flavor. Let me try to take another bite here. Beautiful brisket. Got a nice peppery taste. You get the salt up in there, and I tell you what, the oak from that hardwood lump and the little bit of oak I put in there, it's coming through. That Fogo charcoal did a great job, and man, y'all can see that deep smoke ring that was on this brisket. It's just a lovely brisket. Tastes good. It's something that you can do. Don't be scared to attack a brisket. A lot of people are. They're worried about it. But I tell you what, folks, it's just like any other cook you did. Just watch what you're doing, monitor your temperatures, and stay on top of them, and your brisket will come out just as good or better than this one. But this is an excellent brisket, excellent rub from Suckle Busters. This one looks beautiful. It tastes fantastic. Hey, I like it. I hope you like it. If you did, give me that thumbs up. And do this, man. Give yourself a chance to cook a brisket if you never have before. Tell me about it. Let me know about that first brisket cook or any brisket cook you do. I always want to hear how my viewers, my subscribers are doing. So remember to subscribe to the channel. You'll click the notification bell. Give me a thumbs up if you never have done that before. But hit that notification bell. That way you know anytime I put up a new video, you get notified. I tell you what, I'm excited about it. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell your friends and family about it. Share us on your social media. And we're going to see you down the road on Texas style barbecue and cuisine. Goodbye, everybody.